Te hunga kāriro ki tapoko o te ranginga ma te o te wā, hara mai, haere. Tātou kei te o maramati he wa mauri ora ki a tātou katoa, and welcome back to the Hui. Wairoa is fighting to keep its kaumātua close to home and hoping that next week's budget will help them. After Cyclone Gabrielle devastated the region in 2023, the town's only rest home was forced to close and still hasn't reopened. Now, with no aged care or dementia facilities in Wairoa, many elderly are being moved hours away from their whānau. John Boynton went to catch up with the community.
I need your sweet inspiration.
Aroha Claire loves to hear her mum sing.
Just don't go my way. I can't remember.
Mum used to have a band. Hey, what was your band's name?
There was
The
her.
Mini Minstrel.
The Mini Minstrel.
But these days, Makarena needs some help. She's living with mate wareware or dementia.
So you're her full-time carer, like around the clock?
Pretty much, Mum. We both are, eh? You're a partnership with me, aren't you?
Today, they're both at the Wairoa Bowling Club.
I'm very lucky that I work at a place where I can take her to work 2 days a week.
Aroha is a kaimahi for Pūteke Teke, a brain activity program for kaumātua with mate wareware.
So it's good for her to be out so people can see that she's somewhere. She's in the community.
Hopefully everyone's had a great week this week.
It's kind of like cancer way back in the days when there was no cure and people didn't want to talk about cancer and just called it the C word. It's just a little bit the same with dementia mate wareware. Supporting whānau and Wairoa is so important. We want to keep you at home.
Tracy Lanigan set up the pilot program 4 years ago with local iwi health provider Kahungunu Executive.
We're just saying to people, come and exercise your brain, just get it going.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Each week, kaumātua come together to exercise, sing and hang out with their mates.
The stigma, I think, will naturally start to decline as people realise actually it's not so much the dementia we're focusing on, it's actually being well and living as well as we possibly can.
It actually means the world to me. What does it mean for you, Mum, coming to a place with some other people you know?
It really is good to see them.
This program also offers a critical support system for carers.
Sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm not okay. I'm still processing it into my brain. I hate that day will come that he's not gonna be remembering me.
Caroline Evans' husband Dave has just been diagnosed with Lewy body dementia.
But this program helps him a lot. He even requested, why they only running 2 days? I wanted 5 days, huh? Because he is really excited. Thursday and Friday, he's really excited and looking forward to attend this program. So we're just grateful.
There's research out there that says if somebody with mate wareware attends an active brain program like we're providing, it can delay their move into an aged residential care facility by up to 18 months. So that means they can get to stay within their whānau, stay within their community.
Bess Speakman knows the challenges of caring for whānau.
My niece called in to see me one day and said that her koro was down at the marae and he didn't look good.
Bess's brother Ray was in distress.
My niece said, Auntie, you need to go and see him. And that was a shock. I don't know how long he'd been out there. He hadn't been eating. He hadn't been showering or taking care of himself because he was thin. I mean, this guy was 6'3" and so skinny. He wasn't even 50 kilos. So I just said to him, go and get your bag. I'm taking you home.
Ray was diagnosed with dementia and Bess became his full-time carer.
Getting him clean, getting him to the doctor.
Does it make you think about how easy it is for kaumātua to end up
to slip through
in
the
that
cracks?
situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it doesn't take long.
The Pūteketeke program became an important part of his recovery.
I didn't even know that there was a dementia program in here. Yep, was that good? I ended up working for them.
But last year, her brother's health took a turn.
He had an op, and he really didn't recover from that. Then he went to rehab, and rehab sent him to a rest home in Havelock North.
So he couldn't come back home?
No, he wasn't mobile.
It's hard enough for whānau coping with dementia, but in Wairoa it's even harder because there are no care facilities here.
Getting into or out of Wairoa by land is impossible. The town's river broke its banks, engulfing homes and businesses.
In 2023, Cyclone Gabrielle devastated Wairoa, destroying homes, businesses, and the only rest home for people living with dementia.
There's no acute care for our elderly. There's no dementia care for our elderly. We've got whānau that have had to leave, kaumātua kuia, that have had to leave Wairoa because there's no facility here for them to be cared for.
The closest facilities are almost 2 hours away.
Right now they're in either Gisborne or Napier.
Community leader Denise Eagleson-Karekare and Mayor Craig Little are desperate for a solution.
We've got no dialysis, we've got no dentists, mental health is at an all-time low, and we've got no real elder care.
No, it's not fair.
Bess was travelling back and forth to Hastings, a 4-hour round trip, and Ray's health was rapidly deteriorating.
He'd slipped back to when I picked him up. Watching him slip back to being a shell, I think that was the hardest. He died at the rest home.
If Wairoa had a rest home, would he have been able to come back?
Yeah, absolutely.
The government's heard plenty now from everybody here in Wairoa. We've just got to make it happen because too many families are suffering.
Yeah.
The District Council is fighting hard to build a new rest home.
So we've got the land, we've got an NGO that wants to operate the facility for us. We just now need the government to help us come up with the capital. And we've been told that it's around 15 mil.
That's 15 million they need from central government, and they want to start building this year.
We're doing everything we can to help ourselves, but we do need the government to get on board and help us as well.
In the meantime, programs like Pūteketeke will keep serving Wairoa.
We've got to be their guide. We've got to be sometimes their voice, and we've got to make sure that they're okay where they are.
And for the kaumātua here, it's been a long day.
Oh, sorry, Mum. Are you getting a bit of anxieties?
And Makarena is worried it's been a long day for our cameraman too.
He's getting tired.
Oh.
Can't you see it?
I can see, Mum.
I'm working him too hard, eh?
Do you think he needs a pay rise?
Yeah.
I'll ask my boss.
He's done a good job, hasn't he?
To help him push through, she offers up a waiata.
This song is for you. Ka waiata kia maria he nei whakai ko te whaia o te ao o te ao.
Oh, rawe.
E Aotearoa tēnei. Now, Seniors Minister Casey Costello told the Hui she had seen firsthand the work of the Wairoa community since Cyclone Gabrielle. However, ahead of the budget, she is unable to confirm funding for the Rest Home project. She added since Health New Zealand doesn't build or operate aged residential care, she would need to be assured a service in Wairoa was sustainable. Ka tiake e tarokau I hoana e te iwi, ka rere tonu te kōrero e hāngai ana ki te mate wareware. After the break, a world-renowned Māori neuroscientist takes his groundbreaking brain research out into the community. Kua takarure mai anō rā, koutou ki tā tātou hui e mihi atu ana. In the past few years, there's been a huge drive to find out how mate wareware, or dementia, affects Māori communities. And researchers are using a grassroots approach, taking their mahi onto the marae. They're sharing their mātauranga, but also learning how whānau Māori are coping with the disease. Mea nei te pūrongo a John Boynton.
Life's about people. They come in all shapes and sizes, all colours. They all have the same brain.
But as we age, some brains become vulnerable.
A lot of people are frightened when they hear the word dementia. There are many Māori walking around with mate wareware but have not been diagnosed.
Talking about dementia or mate wareware is never easy.
The key to lessening fear around this condition, around this disease, is knowing about it and learning about it. And that's what we aim to do in terms of visiting marae.
Dr Makarena Dudley and Sir Richard Faull are at Te Aotearoa marae in Whanganui. They know connecting to Te Ao Māori is key to revolutionising dementia care.
From the far north down to Invercargill, we've covered in lots of areas.
One marae at a time.
A lot of whānau didn't know anything at all about it.
Sir Richard Faull, a world-renowned Māori neuroscientist and founder of the Centre for Brain Research at Auckland University.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I don't speak te reo, but, you know, I feel it may look white on the outside, actually brown on the inside. Ko te Aotearoa, te iwi. Ko Ngāti Wahiri, te hapu. I feel more and more comfortable. I love it. I just love it. The brain's tapu. Tapu because it's who you are.
Today, Sir Richard's here teaching whānau all about the brain.
You know, when you fall in love with someone, you don't actually fall in love with their heart, you actually fall in love with their brain. One of the most important things is actually to keep your brain alive, keep it stimulated. Good brain health. If you've got diabetes, high blood pressure, smoke or whatever, then we know that all those things are bad for you. Bad for your heart and bad for your brain.
All the evidence shows us that mate wareware can be prevented up to 40%. A lot of the healthy behaviours we already have in our traditional Māori way of being. When you're interacting with people, you're stimulating your brain. Whether you're saying karakia, whether you're doing waiata, you are using the brain cells that you've got there, right?
The Māori view a challenge to the conventional portrayal of mate wareware.
We've spoken to a number of kaumātua who see mate wareware as a taonga, that it's a place where our people are prior to crossing over to the next world. A lot of whānau who are living with mate wareware will not sort of look at it this way, because the realities of living with mate wareware, particularly in the moderate to later stages of the disease, can be pretty horrible. You don't have the brain cells telling the legs how to walk. You usually have double incontinence because that part of the body is not being told how to function properly. You have people with advanced mate wareware who often suffer from malnutrition because they forget how to swallow.
This is something Laura Tupai knows all about. She cared for her nan in her final years of life.
It makes me feel privileged to have done that for her. But the sadness about it is that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to cope with it.
Unfortunately, a lot of our whānau, particularly I've found those people living in more remote areas of the country, don't have that information or don't have any training, and they are struggling.
Inspired by her nan, Laura Tupai trained as a nurse, specialising in mate wareware in Whanganui.
I just want to give back to our whānau. It's like me doing my grandmother over again, but with knowledge. Having this wānanga here today, I've seen people that come in from the community that live with mate wareware with their loved ones, but don't have as much information out there. It's not readily available until it's too late.
Mene mai. Te tiro mai, please. Oh, stunning.
Hopefully the whānau here have learnt some of the knowledge that we've brought down with us, and we can move forward in terms of battling this disease or this condition that is facing our Māori whānau.
I love coming on to marae, going to the community throughout Aotearoa, because I learn more than I could learn any other way, you know? This is not science in a test tube, this is science talking to people.
Tai hoa ke te iwi he kōrero tōranga pū te iho. After the break, our political panel of experts, Professor Ella Henry and the Honourable Peeni Henare, are next on the Hui. Kia tahi atu take nui o te wā iai nei. Ara ki te Aotearoa pū joining us now. Wow, what a political lineup we have. Political commentator extraordinaire Professor Ella Henry and former Minister the Honourable Peeni Henare are with us now. Ia kuranga tēnā kōrua no mai. Thank you so much for your time. Okay. Māori politics, exciting. Let's start with, there's one word for it. Let's start with Te Tai Tokerau. Who is going to be the Pāti Māori candidate for Te Tai Tokerau?
Oh, how long is a piece of string? Really? I mean, look, we know we've heard murmurs, but we're not sure. And the problem is whoever moves into that role is up against some very stiff competition and some very experienced politicians. So it's going to be, I think, one of the races to watch.
Is it going to be Hone Harawira?
I don't know. Is that honemana.com Harawira?
Yes, the very same, as a matter of fact. I take it from the acerbic response that it could be, but you're not necessarily sure he's going to
Well, I'm not planning on going home for a while, so I can say that safely.
Okay. Peeni, pē hova karo?
Look, I hope my matua hone reads the room. In 2023, Te Pāti Māori campaigned on Hawaii ki hou, a new vision, mokopuna decisions, and you know, my reflection is that he doesn't represent that, where I think they've got an opportunity should they choose somebody that does.
Okay, so let's just declare an announcement now. It's not you, is it?
I said mokopuna decisions, not pakeke decisions.
Not tupuna decisions. No, okay. The other interesting thing about the Tai Tokerau, obviously with the new Tai Tokerau party announced by Maria Meno Kapakingi, the Māori electoral race is going to be, man, it's going to be interesting this year, Holding.
And I think I've said this before, I mean, I barely survived the destruction of Mana Motuhake at the beginning of the noughties, and I've had that same sense of dread now that this open slather of contention and acrimony may well convince our people to stay away from the polling. And there were 170,000 Māori who didn't vote last time. And if that kind of level doesn't vote this time, it's going to be catastrophic for us as an outcome.
Do you see reasons to vote? I mean, you have a look at what's happening in Tai Tokerau. You've got some interesting Labour Party candidates, and I'm trying to be sensitive to my whanaunga over here, given what's happening.
There's always reason to vote. It's the one. I mean, you know, our parents and our grandparents went to war to protect our right to vote. So I may not be the most avid fan of the democracy we've ended up with, but the ability to choose who leads us is critical to our citizenship, and our people absolutely must vote and look for parties and policies, not people and personalities.
Wow.
I think that's a really good observation, and because the rhetoric at the moment is a shift away from a multi-party system at the moment, and we hear talks of independence, vote for the independent member, who cares who you give your party vote to. And I understand where some of that's coming from, but the harsh reality of it is that is a confused future. It's not one that is very clear to our whānau and our people out there about why they should vote or what their vote means for them after the election. And I think that's something that those who are putting their hand up need to start considering. It is a shift away from the personality piece. And ultimately, for the likes of my former colleagues in the Labour Party, you've got to tell us something. You could have the best candidates in the world, but they've still, like every other party, must sell us the vision for our people moving forward.
Where do you think the biggest surprise is going to come from out of the Māori electorates?
Look, I think there's a hotly contested seat in Wairoa, and And I love Rawiri, and I think Rawiri's a strong, good candidate. But we have an exceptional communicator in the likes of Tanya Waikato. We've got a well-known wahine in Tony Boynton. So I think that's a race to watch. We've already spoke about Tai Tokerau, and I'm just as confused as others up home. But I think that's one that I'd keep a close eye on.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more. I also think that Tamaki Makaurau is always, because we are such an interesting place, Auckland. You know, we have the largest population of Māori in a concentrated space.
He knows it better than anyone.
We're related to half of them between us. Right. But the reality is we're a really diverse bunch, from the you know, the well-heeled of the central city to those who of us out west and south side who have a completely different lived experience. So that to me suggests we're going to be looking much more at the calibre of not only the person but also the party.
Okay. It is a budget announcement. There is a budget announcement next Thursday. It's always an interesting time when budgets come around. What do you expect to see or hear, or if anything at all?
I'm unhappy to think that there may be more of the same, which is more of less for us. And we've seen that roll out over the last 3 years, and the catastrophic impacts that's been for our people, whether it's been around housing or development or storm and climate experiences, broadcasting. Every single area where we have made gains in the last 50 years has been systematically pulled back. And unless we change the direction of whichever government comes in, then things are going to get much, much worse for our people.
Yeah, the Prime Minister, in fact, many of the national government MPs have already made it, ministers have already made it pretty clear, don't expect much. Is that the message, really? Out of this
most definitely. It'll be a mainstream washing of much of the same with respect to the budget. I think my auntie here has articulated it well. But where do people get votes if you're a large party? What you do is tamariki. You invest in schools, you invest in those kinds of infrastructure that our people see a clear benefit in. But for Māori, it doesn't come across that way. It's not communicated that way. You can invest in all the schools across the country, but sadly it can't help but feel that could a kaupapa miss out. I'm expecting that there'll be an education, and it's already been signalled, an education announcement, and it'll be something in the form of something for everybody, but ultimately that means nothing for Māori.
Yeah, there's been a very much a change, new qualifications in high school education, you know, 5 subjects a year, pass at least 3 of those, science, English, maths, compulsory, as you say. There's been a limitation, outcomes for kura kaupapa, Māori, te reo Māori in primary schools, that kind of thing. So that's the trajectory I think that we're probably going to see. The other thing I think that's really important though, and I'd love to get your feedback on that, is that going to work for the government? I mean, the polls aren't great. For the national government and the right centre government, centre-right government is still the most popular according to the poller polls.
And as I've said, probably the only thing that can stand in the way of that happening is a lack of Māori participation at the next election, because we know when we participate, we are the community that makes the ground shake. You know, when Māori actually go to the polls, we change stuff, we make things happen. And so all of us who have a public voice, I think, have a responsibility to ensure that our people understand how critical it is to get registered, to vote, to make sure your nanny has a ride and your cousin has a ride to the polling booth, because we need to make this and the next government utterly accountable to us as treaty partners, first and foremost. You know, the promises that were made, but also as people who are trying to create the best and most viable state that we are, which is a country built on aroha, tika and pono.
Do you think we're going to see a furthering of the journey away from treaty principles? We've got RMA coming down the chute. You know, conservation changes that the Minister of Conservation, Tama Pōtaka, has already signalled. Are we going to see more of that in legislation before the election, Peeni?
I suspect so, and my experience through budgets is look at the new flash shiny announcement, but in the order paper that'll be pushed through under urgency through the budget, which will mean you know, a significant continuation of the government's agenda. They've already signalled it, treaty clauses either being amended or removed. I suspect that they'll be pushed through during urgency in the budget, not to be passed, but enough to use it as a platform going into the election with the view to perhaps returning back to the government benches and the the pie, if essentially, would have already been half cooked.
There's a phrase that I heard over the weekend, actually it came out after the pre-budget announcement by the Prime Minister to the business sector. The phrase is social cohesion. I'm not sure what that means, but the Prime Minister is very deliberate in using it. What does it mean?
I actually wrote a paper about it.
I'm asking the right person there.
Because it is a critical ingredient of building strong communities. So it was when I was doing the work on the National Science Challenge on Building. And there were communities around the country that were developing social cohesion strategies. And that is about how communities work and live together harmoniously. I am yet to see evidence that this government understands how to create harmonious communities, because they are the foundation of social cohesion. When we all believe in the same thing, when we're all walking in the same direction, when the waka is pointing in the direction we all want, then you have social cohesion. I have seen little evidence that this government understands that.
Okay. Can I mention one person in particular, because he's talked about social cohesion? Winston Peters. The man knows how to get headlines. I mean, you know, buying back of BNZ, a little bit of announcement on KiwiSaver. But this man, when you talk about social cohesion, it feels like Winston, that is not.
That's right. He's the absolute opposite to it. If you look towards some of the statements over the last couple of weeks, it almost seems to be undermining the Prime Minister, undermining the National Party in particular. It looks towards undermining potential budget announcements, but setting himself up for the election. And I think if our people are open and clear about what the strategy is from Matua Winston, I hope it'll inform the way that they might see their vote going.
Do you think, though, that I think the government will last its term, but his poll rating and approval rating is going through the roof? I don't see anyone holding him back now.
No, and the thing, you know, none of us can ever forget that this man is an absolute politician. He has been a power broker since he first went into Parliament. He knows how to play the game. He can sit on both sides. He can be on both sides at once. It's extraordinary. So I would suggest that he's setting himself up to partner with whoever or whatever configuration makes it through the gate.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Wow, what a panel. Professor Henry Peeni Henare, tēnā rā korua. Thank you both for your time. Akati kua tā rā whare te kōrero. A te hui ki kone mo tēnei raro pō te he te he. Thank you for joining us this week, and we look forward to bringing you more of Te Ao Māori next week. Until then, e ngai ui kia mau ki te turanga o Taputapu Aotearoa. Haumi e, hui e, taiki e. Nā te puna whakatongarewa, te hui i tautoko.